Hello, hello. Buenas tardes, bonjour, wherever you are, whatever time of day, we welcome you joyously to our groundbreaking San Miguel Pen, Uganda Pen Global Poetry Zoom. Flavors of home, longing and belonging. And we are so glad you are here. And we are so grateful for this wild miracle of technology granting us this delicious possibility of cross-cultural, cross-continent community without even leaving our homes. This today, we are proud to say, is a eco-global poetry event with a low carbon footprint running on the energy of the voice and our commitment to freedom of expression. Today, we have invited gifted pen poets from African and Latin American countries to share their gifts in a poetic exploration of the meaning of home, an especially important consideration for us pen members, often facing repressive regimes and exile. Today, tonight, good morning, wherever you may be, however you are, we invite you, please be our guest, sit back, relax, certainly send us your comments in the Q&A box, usually found right there at the bottom of your screen. And we thank you with all our hearts for joining us today. So, it was one of my greatest pleasures to represent San Miguel Pen at our blessed gathering together in Manila for our Congress last time. And I had the privilege of nominating my illustrious co-host to serve on the board of Pen International. And he won, and we all rejoiced. And now it is an equal joy and a dream I've been waiting to come true to share the stage with our friend and the president of Uganda Pen, Danson Kayana.
Hello, everyone. Since we have two hosts, we have decided to have two empty chairs for our guests who may be here for the first time. We at Pen have a powerful tradition that we call the empty chair. We begin our gatherings and our celebrations with an act of remembrance. We remember that we who are free, we who are privileged to be free, we who are free to write and to dream and to publish, we who are free to do all this, we must not take this freedom for granted. And we remember and honor a writer who does not have those privileges, a writer in prison, a journalist who has been disappeared, and in too many countries, unfortunately, a journalist or a writer who has been murdered for the act of writing truth to power. Today, we begin this event by raising our voices in support of a center that has lost their freedoms.
On February 4th, 2021, this February, Pen Nicaragua announced the suspension of its activities due to an escalation of the ongoing dire threats and surveillance of their journalists and writers. Suspending the activities of Pen Nicaragua for the foreseeable future was a necessary response to the repressive policies of the Ortega government towards independent journalists and any critical voices for as long as since 2018, and it was made viciously worse by a recent law, a foreign agents regulation law passed in Nicaragua. The new law states that a legal framework for natural or legal persons dependent on foreign interests and funding and who interferes in the internal affairs in the country was made outlawed and had to declare as a foreign agent. Any organization or person that registers in this under this new rubric, foreign agent, is then subject to surveillance, restriction on their civil and political rights, and their personal property may be seized. And this applies to the people in the organization as well as the organization. So PEN International, San Miguel PEN, PEN Argentina, and PEN America, with the support of other PEN centers in the Americas, has established the International Observatory Eye on Nicaragua. San Miguel PEN sends out an update email, and the updates are on our website and on PEN International's. Currently, and this is absolutely fresh news, the entire community of independent journalists is under assault. 18 journalists have been already called into the prosecutor's office as part of an investigation against the Fundación Violeta Chamorro for alleged money laundering. The government is calling money laundering all the contributions and support that the foundation provided for journalists from 2015 to 2019. This is aimed at Cristiana Chamorro, whom you see on your screen. She is the director of that foundation, and now she is the most popular presidential candidate for the upcoming November 7th elections in Nicaragua. So the government wants to use this accusation to ban her from running. They have also arrested the accountants and the other heads of that organization. This is a violation of their human rights, and presumably the dictatorship will use its power and threats to produce a false confession against Cristiana. You also see Carlos Herrera, a photojournalist, and Maria Lily Delgado, a correspondent for Univision and Nicaragua, and one of the most famous and respected women journalists in the country. We fear that she is about to be captured too. We fear for them all, for all the journalists and all the dissenters. We demand their freedom. We demand that Ortega stops this charade of an investigation against Cristiana Chamorro and stop harassing the independent press in Nicaragua. We invite you all to please go to the San Miguel website, which I will put in the chat right now, for updates. At all times, we have a page on our website for Eye on Nicaragua, and we talk about how you can support Nicaragua at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Judith. The whole world is watching the crisis in Belarus, and our members of PEN Belarus have been on the front lines. This latest development looks to engaging governments world over at long last. Today, we raise our voices to support the arrest, silencing, imprisonment, and most likely torture of Belarusian blogger and activist Roman Petrasevich. On 23rd May 2021, Roman Petrasevich, a vocal critic of the Belarus government, was on a flight from Greece to Lithuania with his partner, Sofia Sapega. He was wanted by the Belarus authorities for his work as a popular blogger and journalist who has been a prominent public figure in the widespread protests against the disputed elections in August 2020. As their flight traveled through Belarus airspace, Belarus air traffic controllers ordered the plane to land, claiming that there were reports of a bomb on board. The plane was accompanied by a Belarus fighter jet as it landed in Minsk airport. The detention of Raman and Sophia has caused an international outcry. There is no evidence that they have committed an internationally recognized crime, yet they have been arbitrarily detained in retaliation for Raman's critical journalistic work. If convicted, Raman Pratasevich could face up 20 years imprisonment and is at serious risk of torture and other ill treatment. We ask you to take action now by emailing the Prosecutor General of the Republic of Belarus, Andrei Shved, and demand that Raman and Sophia be released immediately. My co-host Judith is putting his email in the chat. And now we are blessed to see and hear from our pen poets. This is the day we have been waiting for, the moment we have been waiting for Africa and Latin America to come together and share some poetry. Thank you.
Yay, we are so glad to be here and doing this together. Now we begin. Today, we are privileged to begin with a grande dame in Latin American literature and scholarship, Blanca del Rio, the President Emerita PEN Club Chile. Blanca holds a PhD in education from the University of Toulouse in France. She is a professor emeritus of the University of Chile and past professor of the universities of Algiers and Oran. Blanca worked and lived in Northern and Western Africa for 20 years as a professor, liaison officer, and consultant in UNICEF and UNDP. Blanca was evacuated from Burundi during the Rwandan genocide in 1994. Her many, many publications include books on education, poetry books, and prose, and her books have been translated into English, Italian, and French. Welcome, Blanca. Miss Blanca, please unmute your microphone and read to us. I'm sorry, sweetie, you still need to unmute for us. Thank you. There you are.
Now it works. Now it works. I'm sorry.
Not a problem.
Ok. A la sombra de un baobab en África. En los grandes espacios africanos, baobab por los siglos legendario, en fábulas, poemas milenarios, das fresca sombra al consejo de ancianos. A llorar tradición bajo tus manos. Sobre ti el profesor hace su horario. A tu fronda los niños van a diario. A todos los cobijas como hermanos. De ébano es el hombre en sol bañado. De ti y sus orígenes se trata la historia que siempre se ha contado. La boca en el oído le retrata los mitos que el ayer ha relatado. La aldea sin baobab sería ingrata. Thank you.
Thank you. And now I am going to read Blanca's poem to you in English. This poem is called At the Shade of the Baobab, and the translation was done by Liliana Baltra. In the great African spaces, you, legendary baobab, centennial, appear in fables and poems, giving fresh shade to the council of elders. There's oral tradition under your hands. Over you, teachers plan their schedule. Children go under your shade daily. All of them brothers, you give shelter. The story is always told about you, the ebony man bathed by the sun and his origins. Ancient myths have been told, mouth to ear. Without the baobab, the village would be ungrateful. It's so true, I find, that whenever we encounter a great poet, a great voice in the culture, their generosity and the way their poems embody and honor their experiences and the stories of their people and place just shine through their work. And we can feel Blanca's love for her country, time in Africa pulsing through this whole poem. Now it is my pleasure to introduce William Mapina. William is a member of the Malawian Pen Center and a widely published Malawian writer. He is a co-editor of the poetry anthology, Walking the Battlefield, and the Tilembe newsletter of the Malawi Union of Academic and Non-Fiction Authors. Welcome, William.
The wind sings for the wise. Happiness sings in the wind. I see it every day, sailing in the sky, towards the horizon and back. I see pregnant minds struggling, fighting to get a portion of it. Happiness doesn't stay at one place for too long, but swiftly, like a cloud of rain, skipping with a wall of darkness, hide its face from stupidity and open it to humility. Happiness shouldn't face one side for too long, or something is wrong and cause for revolution. A steering rod of sanity, butterflies demanding justice, and whose madness the shooting and why the misunderstanding. The city burns, smoke rises, a voice calling in the streets, a bitter expression of love, and why the resistance. When the chua says, your sweetness is gone, the wind sings for the wise, only a fool thinks otherwise. Kachisha wapang'ono, kuita na mvula nchirimwe. Mvula igwe titole bowa, terere timwe tipumire thobwa, chisoso chimere, misinje iremere, mitambo igone. Mwezi utsukike, misana ipindike, chuma chibwerere. Bola mvula igwe, chisankho chibwere, kunja kuyere, mitima izizire. Mbalame ziyimbe, makasu asweke. Poto, poto, mapoto, pamoto, alowe. Nkhope ziwale. Dziko lisukusule. Ubongo ukalike, umbuli uthawe. petu mbendera imwetulire. Nsanje ndi njala zisatisowetse mtendere. Thukuta latiwonjeza ili. Thank you.
What a joy to listen to you, William Bina. What a joy to listen to you proclaim, I caught you. Happiness sings in the wind. End of quote. For those wise people who are asked to listen to the songs in the wind and get wisdom from them. And what a joy, William Bina, to listen to you sing a song in your mother tongue, Chichewa. We thank you so much. Our next poet is Sylvia Leonor Schneider-Manis, a member of the Central PEN Argentina and a member of the CPA Women Writers Committee. She is a professor of English literature at the Universidad Nacional de San Martin, and she has degrees in English literature and film studies. Welcome, Sylvia.
Dear Judith, dear Danson, dear all, I'm so honored to be here today. I'm going to read two poems, one in English and one in Spanish. So I start with the English one. It is called The Sweet Bowl, and it's in loving memory of my grandmother, Hannah Klaas, and her siblings, Max, Saul, Nathan, and Morris Klaas. Sweet bowl, if you could recreate the silences of my Babe Hannah, you are the only surviving object that Hannah carried from those distant lands when she crossed the Atlantic from north to south. You were carried in her luggage, escaping the future carnage of the Jewish fate. And still you are here, shiny, silver, sweet bowl. I gaze and gaze, trying to imagine her smile that might have been reflected on your surface, the smile I never saw. Where did all that go? Her youth in those faraway lands, celebrating Rosh Hashanah, sitting at a big table, lighting the candles and singing joyful songs with the ones she loved, who I never met. Hannah arriving here in the Argentine Pampas, so far away from the familiar, I still feel and recall her grief and alienation, her life pierced by loss, saying goodbye to beloved parents and brothers for the last time, never to see them again. I need to remove the words of fear stuck to this bowl, open the thoughts searching for light, and nourish myself with the roots that she left. Sweet bowl, you are here now to remind me of her existence and legacy. And this is my second poem, in loving memory of my mother. I'm going to read this poem in Spanish, Añoranza, which means longing. Añoranza es el amor que me empuja en búsqueda de algo que ya no está. Esos sabores de la cocina, mezcla de gefilte fish y carne asada, con el mate muy cerquita que heredó de los gauchos judíos escapados de la devastación en los pogroms ucranianos. La calidez de sus manos que cobijaban las mías como pétalos de una rosa, así su nombre. Añoranza de esa mirada amorosa que iluminaba mis pasos, presencia de madre en la luz y en la oscuridad, celebrando éxitos, acompañando lágrimas. Ya no escucho las letras del tango que cantaba mientras sus manos tejían cadenas de amor. Ese amor eterno en la memoria que fluye más allá de la ausencia. Todavía siento esa añoranza amorosa que me lleva nuevamente al hogar y que atraviesa el tiempo y la distancia. Thank you very much.
May her name be always for a blessing, my friend. These poems sing our ancestors back into our hearts, and they are a blessed, blessed reclamation. And they share a deep truth that we all know, that food is the home and home is the food. Those flavors of the kitchen, gefilte fish and roast beef, I just love hearing this. And that last line of that poem, longing in love that pushes me in search of something that is no longer there. That is exactly our longing, our love, our nostalgia, and our connection always. Thank you so much. And now, unfortunately, a wonderful poet, Dami Ajaya, a member of Nigerian Penn Center, is unable to be with us today. He's under the weather, and Danson is going to be reading his poems. Dami is the author of 2 poetry collections, Clinical Blues and A Woman's Body is a Country. So welcome, Danson, reading Dami's poems.
Thank you so much, Judith. Unfortunately, as Judith has said, Dami can't be with us here, but I'm very glad to be his voice. And the poem I'm going to read is Queens, because the first poem is in Yoruba, and I felt that the translation might not give us the beauty of the poem. So I'm going to read one poem, his second poem, entitled Queens. And remember, I'm just the voice. The poet is Dami Ajayi from Nigeria. And the poem Queens is dedicated to Patrice. And I start. To the queens of my Nico days, days blood from memories tainted. To the queens of my Jaco days, days landscaped by sepia dreams. To the queens of my Lagos nights, days pierced by shrilly horns of brass and cars. To the queens of my Limino nights, Nairobi nights, Cologne nights, Delhi nights. Nights restive in their nocturnal shifts, nights spilling into crayon dawns. To the queens of my London days, days aged like a bet, days of intense feelings and scared healings, days interrupted by squeaky train announcements, days trembling from denouement, days hoisted like a surrealist painter's easel, days notched by uncertainties, days weighted with misery's drum, days seasoned with searing pain, days salted with sodium and absinthe and warm wood, days beaten by the drizzle of monkey weddings, days welded with grief and duty, days watered with wine and whining, days stretched thin with longing, days of microwave lunches, days of absent queens and promises. Let love songs pour out of radios, and let lonely poets sing the karaoke of memories past. Audit love songs for love, audit love songs for soothing words. Days, days, days still dare to climb on themselves like complacent lovers. Thank you. It's a pleasure, really, to be reading Dami Ajayi's poem that has taken us to so many places all over the globe on a sonic journey as he sings sweet melodious songs to his queens, not just one queen, but many queens in many places. His is a work that keeps ringing in our ears long after the song has stopped playing. And I know that I did not do justice to it if the poet had been here to read the poem himself. It would have been very wonderful. Our next poet is Yirgalem Fiseha. She's a member of PEN Eritrea in exile. She's an Eritrean poet and writer. She was arrested and imprisoned for 6 years, for 6 years, from 2009 to 2015 in Eritrea for no reason but that she was writing, for no reason but that she was publishing. We thank God that she was able to find a safe haven in Germany, where she is now, and where she's a scholar in residence at German PEN. Welcome, Yirgalem.
ኣለኹ እታ ወርሒ እኳ ብጸሊም ደበና ኣካላን ብርሃናን እንተተሸፊና ተኸዊላ እምበር ሞይታ ንብላ ዲና ድብዝዝ እንተበለት ከም ዝተተኸሰት ብርሃና ኸይሕባእ እናተቓለሰት ወትሩ ኣለኹ እንድያ ትብል ተስፋ ፈታዊኣ ምእንቲ ኸይቅምስል ከምኡ ድማ እዚ ዕግታትኪ ምስ እልቢ ንፋሱ ኣዒንተይ ኣንቢዑ ትንፋሰይ ዓቢሱ ሞተይ ከርየኒ እንዲ ተበጊሱ ኣጭኒቑ ነይተርፍ መንፋሱ ኩልፍ ከብለኒ ዕድመይ ክሕፅረለይ ካብታ ዝርከባ እንተቆርመመለይ ትኪ ወዲ ትኪ ዘይውዳእ ዝመስል ከም ዝፈተወኒ እንተበለኒ ዕስል ካብቲ ውሽጡ ጽባሕ ጊሓት ካብ ጥሽ ከም ዝወፀት መርዓት መሰስ ክብሌ ጸቢቐ ብኹርዓት. And here is the English version. The translation is done by Tedros Abraham. I am alive when the body and light of the moon get shrouded by a dark cloud. Don't we say it got eclipsed instead of it died? If it is hazy as though it got drowsy, struggling for its light, not to be obscured. It would always say, I'm alive, for its lover's hope wouldn't wilt. As such, the smoke with its whirlwind that has set out to show me my death, making me weep and choke for breath, having me beleaguered, would soon deflate. If it trimmed my age of what little it has, to cut it short and leave me lifeless, if smoke and hazy that seem endless rested on me as if to like me, tomorrow by dawn I will emerge lovely and proud, like a fumigated bride. Thank you.
Woo! Your poems always slay my heart, Yirgalem, and your steadfastness, your courage, and your spirit that was never unbowed. You're a model, and I admire you and love you so much. And thank you for this absolutely gorgeous poem, as are all your poems, and the privilege of hearing your language. Next, I am excited to introduce to you a pen guest, Omar Rodriguez. Omar is an actor born in Mexico City and currently living in New York. Omar is currently about to publish his first book of poems, Atoms and Molecules of an Alchemist. Welcome, Omar.
I am going to read one of my poems, first in Spanish and then in English. And this is about a lost lover. Aferrado a ti, declarando la imposibilidad de dejar ir. Aferrado a ti, desesperado, y sabiendo, amor, que tu pensamiento volará cada día, cada hora, cada instante más lejano del mío, asintóticamente como las líneas paralelas que, sabiendo que están, no se acompañan nunca y solo se contemplan de lejos. Aferrado a ti e inerte, agotado, casi vencido, con la espada quebrada, la guarda bajada y la mirada perdida. Aferrado a ti, sin salida posible, ni maleta ni destino, con la angustiosa desesperanza del tren que no alcanzas en una fría estación llena de gente y de ruido, pero vacía de almas. Aferrado a ti, con la certeza íntima que mi recuerdo te ha de guardar, aunque la memoria quiera alejarte y esconder tu imagen en las neuronas más diminutas y lejanas. Aunque éste no quiera ceder y aquella cansada resuelva olvidarte, sé que quedará una huella prismática de ti en el alma que me recuerde los días que estuve feliz y luego desesperado, íntima, secreta y consistentemente aferrado a ti. Clinging to you, confirming the impossibility of letting go. Clinging to you, desperately knowing, my love, that your thoughts will fly away from me every day, every hour, like the parallel lines which, being aware of each other, never talk and just watch each other from afar. Clinging to you, lifeless, exhausted, almost defeated, with a broken back, a lowered guard, and a stunned face. Clinging to you without an exit or luggage or destination, with the anxious hopelessness of the missed train in a freezing station full of people and noise, but empty of souls. Clinging to you with the intimate certainty that my memory will keep you, even when my brain wants to hide your image in the smallest and farthest neurons, and even when my brain resists and my tired memory chooses to forget you, a shiny and prismatic trace of you will remain in my soul to remind me of the days that I was happily and then desperately, intimately, secretly, and consistently clinging to you. Thank you.
Wow, wow, wow. What a powerful poem on the power of devotion, on the power of memory in relationships. Omar, thank you so much for this wonderful poem that reminds us that in every situation, the memory of things always remains, and that we need to face this memory as a presence that can heal our heartache, that can heal our pain, that we can face this memory with the possibility that this memory can empower us. Thank you so much for that beautiful poem that is so moving. And now we go to Uganda. where Daphne Arinda is going to read for us a poem. She's a member of Ugandan Pen, and her poems are published in Streetlights at Noon Eclipse by Ibua and online by Svenska Pen and Start Journal of Contemporary Arts and Culture in East Africa. Welcome, Daphne.
I'm going to perform two poems. One is in my traditional language, Ruchiga, and it's the first one. Bwashesha, hey, bwashesha, hey, ti abana nibatitire emyende bigoti na bulanji tiba bikurire nk'ekibunu kiri kweragaza ha butaka. Bwashesha, bwashesha, iguru ryatunyarira isi yona n'amizi reba nk'ukugaratere muko mushozi nko mulindi gutine bugarukiro mwenangwe mwenangwe ejura yagwa abataka nibanuka ebyondo by'abahatamaha bigere amizi tibage isaha mubiri ejura yagwe mondi nizijunda zinuka nkasiweje yinkuhurira nibashohozo muri Kampala nkenchugura washesha. So that's the first poem. Thank you. I will not do a translation, but it really is about the rain and what happens when it rains, the rain pouring down onto people. I can't do a translation. I'll go to the second poem, which is also very special. It's about community, and it's titled Community. A town up the hill with tall houses painted blue. A hill that dogs love to climb. A hill of cats with coats of tiger stripes. A hill with thousands of lights and thousands of birds with thousands of songs, frogs with thousands of croaks, and palms with thousands of prongs. A hill up the town. There is a lot of people on the hill. Open your mind and hear them. Diverse people, open your eyes and see them. Real people who don't marry because no one deserves to be collateral for another's security. People who are confident to be alone, to walk hoisted on sticks and still pursue a speeding clock. Wise people in a town up the hill. There is frangipani and pans that fry red tips and injera. No, it's not in Nigeria. The town up the hill is in Muyenga, Mitala Road. Wanaga ibare akajura karagwa, ibare ryateka ahamizi. Ai Muyenga, kale nonuzi. Thank you.
Oh, those poems are as welcome as the rain. Wow. And Daphne, the craft is so marvelous in that second poem. It's like a zoom shot where we start in the town on the hill and then boom. No one deserves to be a collateral for someone else's security. Wow, that's a women's manifesto in 3 lines. Woohoo! Oh, it's so exciting. Isn't this poetry just so thrilling, you guys? It's so good. What a reading. Wow. And to continue in this amazing event of just stunningly unique and powerful, rhythmical and marvelous image-filled voices, we now go to Herman Rojas, who is a poet, of course, and the president of PEN Chile. Germán was born in Santiago de Chile and lived in exile during Pinochet's dictatorship. Welcome, Germán.
I will read only one poem in English. The poem is titled The Friends of Today and Tomorrow, and it was translated by Sally Cassie. My friends, I wish to speak to you from the depth of the earth, from these 1,000-year-old stones, from our America fire, where my origins have roots, which are even yours. I wish to speak to you of my country, blade of steel, shaped blow by blow, infinite shell, there where the sea confides sweetly its complaints. I went over my land, palm over palm, without hurry. I became a lone ranger. I touched every stone. I talked with every grain of wheat. I shared poetry and hope among stokers and masons. I sang with farmers, with carven faces and wrinkled hands. I went down into the depth of the earth to share a ray of light with the miners of my nation. And I stopped in all the factories to speak with the laborers of today and tomorrow. And among songs and flags, from each I learned something. One gave me a smile and another his hands. This one is children's bread and that one is lantern's light. All offer me the friendship without asking null instead. All this happened without hurry until that morning when the sky of my Chile darkened, and suddenly there erupted the tanks and boats, overturning everything on their way. The ears of wheat, the rays of the moon, the heavenly songs of the robins, and even our hopes. Alone remained the stoker, the mason, the farmer, and the miner. Alone remain all the laborers accompanied mayhap by my loneliness and my song. It was then that I ran to hide myself among those whom I believed to be my brothers, lifelong friends, friends from my childhood games with whom I had built castles of sand and in our dreams climbed the mountains. Seeing them again, I didn't realize that everything had changed. No more dreams, no more 1,000-year beaches, but guns and lead, no more children and friends, but hinds and jackals, which arrived devouring all, not to leave trace of our passing on earth. Of me, none remembered. This is what they told me, cleaning away the lifeblood, new decorations in the profane uniforms, that I was a terrorist, a communist, a traitor, that I did not believe in God, in a family, in nothing. They couldn't find words to express their hate and bloody virulence until they left me not a bone in its place, nor any immaculate flesh. The bowels to the pigs, they not even as manual they could be used, they screamed. That was how they threw me in the utmost dark corner, the only one that I didn't know in my nation. There I gathered with the monks patient every one of my bones, putting them slowly in their place, one by one. The wounds closed, all became as before, except for the emptiness of my soul left by those friends that in truth never had been. I started roaming around the world, searching for a new home. I walked without rest in 1,000 strange lands. They were 10 long years without smiles nor hands, without bread or light, without friendship, and without anything. Until one day in Italy, searching for a new home, I found you, brothers of my soul. That was when I saw the first smile, the first friendly hand, the first shared bread, the first light of dawn. Yes, you were my friends, my eternal brothers, those who created wealth like back in my land. I would like to sing to you my verses, the most beautiful today, but this sun that is not mine has emptied my soul. I can only tell you, come with me now to share bread and with some laborers, the farmer's red wine, the live fire of the black stoker, the sweet refuge of the thoughtful mason, and the hard metal work by the miner. Come with me, that I will give you all. I will give all that I possess. That is only a piece of blue of my sky that crosses over from north to south in my dreams and in my Chile. Thank you.
Oh my God, what a beautiful poem. You know, I kept remembering the work of Pablo Neruda, especially as he was in exile in Italy. Your poem kept coming to me and bringing all those memories of my reading of Pablo Neruda. Thank you so very much, Herman Rojas, for this beautiful poem, which reminds us that even when everything seems to be lost, there is always hope. The hope that we shall find a new family that will listen to a song of war. A hope that a family will allow us to share with them, I am quoting your poem, a piece of blue of my sky that crosses over from north to south in my dreams and in my Chile. Now that line, and in my Chile, is so powerful because it shows that even when our countries become terrible, even when our countries exile us, even when our countries disappear us and do terrible things to us, we never give up on them. They remain our country. We carry them with us everywhere we go. Thank you so much, Herman, for that beautiful poem. Thank you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce Sara Martinez Castro, who is a poet born in Cuba in 1950, living in exile in the United States. She's in charge of the Women Writers Committee at the Pen Club of Cuba Writers in Exile. Welcome, Sara.
It's a real privilege to be with you this afternoon with so many great poets. I feel really, a great emotion in my heart. I'm going to share with you two poems, one in Spanish and another one in English. The one in Spanish, I want to dedicate it to those who died fighting for freedom in my country. Men and women, young and old, workers, peasants, writers, artists, they all deserve to be remembered. The name of the poem is El Clamor. El clamor de la sangre derramada siembra un eco de luz en el silencio. Hay un surco de amor que se agiganta en los hijos que nunca se rindieron. La patria sigue en pie. Con su decoro se afirma en el legado de los buenos. La lucha sigue viva en la trinchera de la conciencia limpia de mi pueblo. La verdad es más fuerte que lo oprobio. El deber se abre paso entre las huellas de aquellos que marcaron el sendero. Prohibido olvidar, ese es el reto. Alcemos nuestra voz en la vanguardia para que hablen los muertos. And now I'm going to say a poem in English. It's a translation of an original poem called Mi Patria. And I want to dedicate this poem to my brother, who I'm sorry, who was a political prisoner, who suffered torture, and I carry him in my heart. My homeland. My homeland is an island where fear found its shelter, where there are no rooms for dreams and faith walks barefoot. My homeland is adrift in loneliness and is devoid of hopes. It's a secluded place for broken smiles. My homeland is a wailing wall and a forest of tears. It's a bonfire that swallows its shattered promises. My homeland is a starless night, a stunted line of poetry. My homeland is a prison, locking my mutilated childhood. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Oh, Sarah, that poem is imprinted on our hearts. I could quote every line back from that poem. My homeland is a starless night, adrift in longing, a stunted line of poetry, a forest of tears, bonfire that swallows. Every line aches with grief and desire and betrayal. This poem is a huge gift of clear language for the exiled and the dispossessed. It is a gift to us all. Thank you so much. Thank you, my friend. And now I get to introduce a dear friend of ours from our country of Mexico. Jorge Luis Gonzalez is a member of our sister center, PEN Guadalajara. Since 2017, Jorge has been the editor for a collection of 7 poetry books called Entre Tintas Tinto, and he is a scholarship winner from the Jalisco State Council for the Cultural Arts for his book, Entre Espejos Cae Mi Voz. Welcome, Jorge.
Dear Judith, dear Danson, dear all, I'm so grateful to be here with you in this reading. In my country, even in Latin America, every day, many people disappear. This poem is an expectation for their return. Would you come back? Because in that moment, you'd have gone so far, I'd cross all over the air wondering if you'd come back or if you let me die. Pablo Neruda. Don't go too far. The edgeless night stain has just started to expand. I shall be waiting for you at the bus station, whereby buses can slip through. Don't be in the distance, since the waters of solitude move downstream looking for shelter and depress my restless spirit. Your shadow doesn't break down into drizzle when the lanterns drip. Might your steps not be fused with those of the straight ghost? Might the bestia train roar never shakes your exhaustion? Don't wander off, neither too close. because the dawn hasn't shortened his lethargy, and I'll stay here awaiting for your return until a brand new day arrives. Volverás, porque en ese minuto te habrás ido tan lejos que cruzaré toda la tierra preguntando si volverás o si me dejarás muriendo. Pablo Neruda. No te vayas lejos, la noche apenas extiende su mancha sin borde. Te estaré esperando en la parada del camión, donde, en otro sitio, los autobuses duermen. No estés en la distancia, pues se juntan las aguas del silencio, buscando cobijo, vienen y oprimen mi espíritu inquieto. Que tu sombra no rompa en llovizna cuando goteen las farolas. Que tus pasos no se fundan con el andar de fantasmas sin dueño. Que el rugir de la bestia no sacuda el cansancio. No te separes ni cerca, porque la aurora aún no abrevia su letargo. Y yo seguiré aquí esperando tu regreso para que inicie un nuevo día. Thank you.
What a beautiful poem, Jorge Luis Gonzalez. What a beautiful poem that keeps hope alive, even in situations of hopelessness, when innocent people have been disappeared by tyrannical governments. This poem reminds us that even in situations of terror, poetry is a warm companion, as it makes it possible for us to imagine a beautiful tomorrow, a beautiful day when all those people who have been disappeared will return to us. A beautiful day when our relatives and our friends will return to us. Thank you for giving us this hope. For this is what we take from poetry, that even in situations of hopelessness, we have a reason to dream when our poets like Jorge Luis Gonzalez sing of this hope, sing of this dream. And now I'll introduce a poet from Zambia. Her name is Marita Banda, who is a member of Zambian Pen. She is a published author with a book entitled Telling It Like It Is, which is a collection of poetry, and Traditional Zambian Etiquette for Modern Living, which is a work of non-fiction. She's a teacher and an editor, and she enjoys gardening and cooking. And today, her recipe consists of beautiful songs she has put together for us. Welcome, Marita.
Thank you. It is a pleasure to be here with you this evening. My poem is entitled Gombeza, and it is written in my native Tumbuka. So I'm going to read the Tumbuka version of it. I have an English translation, but I'm not going to read it. I'll just read the Tumbuka one. Gombeza means a blanket in my mother language. Gombeza ilomkuona nanika panchambo ndani. Lenelira riswesi na babulaula bachibi. Mpepete makora yene ndani. Ndipolusava kuomira cha. Mungaleka kulisezi apo nkulivika na mwenecho kuchipinda. Kwambula kumanyisa. Gombeza lane nkudika para kuza kampeni. Para nadika mwenu kachifu. Makora yene. Gombeza ili langalino nkeforo ndani. Panchi mkunusika matuzi ndani. Nangani nyeremo visyuri vya nchunga vya msuzu Swiss ndani. Asulu chapio ilo lilipantambo likuomira makora yene. ningafika patali yayi kwambula gombeza lane liswesi na wabulaula bati be mphepete makora yene gombeza ili nanga linunke folo ndani nyengo zinyake lusoweza ngeni nkata kutwikirapo maji pakuluta kudambo ndipo pakufuma kutengere kutwikirapo mkono ladaziro nkayera mumboholi uwo makora yene nkumanya banyake paimwe banyitu kumasinda uko mukanenanga kuti ha ati ukazuzi bati kwani mboholi mulikulya nati nane lero nkubecha gombeza ndilo lani ukazuzi nao mboani nteura mkaya wakachete gombeza ili likunilera na mwenecho likunisunga ndipo ndiwe mikhanira chinyakeso ngumanya pali banyake pano nyifu alindanunke ima muliyambakale kulipenderera gombeza lani kuti muzalitore para nyifu yanifikira awo mavano mulegeretu chifukwa ili gombeza lane nkunjira nalo mdindi olo nyifu initore ndine unawezeka kani imwe mbwenu chitanda muza muvika mgombeza ili mungasuzikanga kuti muguleli nyake cha muza musebezesi alenilili gombeza lane liswesi na wabulaula bati bi mphepete makora yenu. Thank you.
Oh, baby, you are sassy. I'm going to read a little bit of the end of this poem in English, you guys. It's just so amazing. Should death come for me today, oh, baby, I am ready. I mean, bring it on. Here's the plan. You will wrap my remains in my red blanket. Yes, the one with the decorative black butterflies on the edges. To hell with your fancy caskets or new blankets. My precious red blanket with the decorative black butterflies on the edges will suffice. Oh, Marita, sister, we love it when you bring it, and you bring it, baby. Oh my gosh, this is just so fun. What an amazing collaboration this has been. I can't wait to do it again. And rounding us in and bringing us perfectly and magnificently home is Jocanda Belli. It is a huge honor to introduce the famous Nicaraguan poet and novelist and president of Nicaraguan Pen, who you heard the current story of before we began. And I'm going to introduce her with the line that she sent me. Jocanda Belli, born in Nicaragua, warrior, wife, mother, poet, and novelist. And I'm going to add hero. Welcome, Jocanda.
Well, thank you so much. That's such a flattering vision of myself. I hope I live up to it when I read my poems. Thank you so much to everybody. I was a little late because I had a confusion in time. I thought I was in Nicaragua and there was only 1 hour difference with Mexico. So I arrived late, but I have enjoyed every poem. It's been amazing. And I am very thrilled and honored to be part of this reading. And thank you, Judy, because she's a power of nature, a force of nature. And so I am going to read 2 poems. One is in Spanish and the next one in English. And the first one is about my country. It's called Nicaragua. And I talk about how it's like a lover that although I try to forget, I cannot, that there is also this love that bonds me to this country forever. And sometimes I hate him and sometimes I love it. Nicaragua. Tantas veces me he propuesto olvidarte como si fueras un amante cruel, de esos que le cierran a uno la puerta en las narices, o uno de aquellos que cuanto más se aman, más olvido prodigan, pero nada de lo que hago lo consigue. Viene el verdor, la lluvia, el viento, el revoloteo de los papeles en las calles, el roble derramando sus flores como cáscaras de seda en las aceras, el rostro del chavalo con el trapo, su sonrisa que cruza y trasciende la pobreza. Viene el atardecer sobre el perfil puntiagudo del volcán a lo lejos, las nubes derramando pintura roja y púrpura sobre el cielo, el hablar deslenguado, rápido, juguetón de la gente, y todo lo que maldigo y desdigo de vos se me deshace, y me irrumpe el amor como si me corrieran caballos en el pecho, y te contemplo atravesada de ceibos y corteses, de madroños, caobas y palmeras, y te amo, patria de mis sueños y mis penas, y te llevo conmigo para lavarte las manchas en secreto, susurrarte esperanzas y prometerte curas y encantos que te salven. Palabras digo, puesto que son ellas la argamasa de mi vida, y a punta de palabras te imagino una y otra vez renacida, genial, despojada de cuanta polía te corroe día a día los cimientos. Arranco de tu pelo a los que te venden, te roban y te abusan. Te cuento cuentos en la esquina de mi almohada, te arropo y te tapo los ojos para que no veas los verdugos que llegan a cortarte la cabeza. Tierra, paisaje, yo moriré, morirán mis angustias, pero vos seguirás anclada en el mismo lugar, acurrucando mis memorias y mis huesos. Gracias. And now this is the English poem. It's called Metamorphosis. My heart is pouring rain. My homeland cuts through my body. Its mountain ranges growing from my lungs, its valleys expanding along my ribs, its great rivers floating from my legs. Row, I wander the corners of this exile in fall and winter, and my name no longer recognizes itself. I do not know who I am when verdant green disappears and the world chooses the chill of death under white quilts. I do not know who I am without Nicaragua, deprived of my billowing clouds like giant towers in immaculate blue skies, away from the Ticomo Valley, the Motastepe cinder cone, the lake's velvet froth, lapping against the jagged edges of volcanoes at dawn. There was a time when I was myself, when I recognized myself in my name. I would awaken early to look over the horizon. From my window, I would see birds drawing the world anew above the morning mist. The day would speed ahead, crisscrossed by women in a hurry, balancing baskets in the markets, female vendors tending stalls, offering fruits and vegetables in the afternoon. Friends would show up unexpectedly for rum and endless chatting. Their warmth would melt any chill of the heart. When I left, it was as if I had left myself behind. Upon each return, I see my own body unfold before me, welcoming me. Woodlands, verdant green, the self I am. Ruth said to Boaz, your people shall be my people, and your God, my God. But my people are still my people. And I don't sense the presence of God in skyscrapers. My thoughts are full of lakes, landscapes, the bay at San Juan del Sur, Masaya, Nindiri, Granadas, Langur, The Malinche trees on the highway to Nandaime, the lagoon bordered by Apoyo, Diria, and San Juan de Oriente, rainstorms in May, December, trade winds, the smell of wet earth, chilamate and ceiba trees, the crimson dusk, horses on the roadside, smiling faces, children in the street spinning tops, the torpor of long siestas, nights of partying and gaiety, the Purísima, the Gritería, sweet lemons, the cypress trees at the entrance to the Matagalpa cemetery, Selva Negras, anthuriums, trees blooming with flowers. Nostalgia tears me away from elms and pines lining the great avenues of the city where I live. My eyes do not seek lawns perfectly green and manicured. Days go by and I have not lived them. I am nostalgia disguised as woman. This was
Wow.
a poem that I wrote when I lived in the United States. Then I went back to Nicaragua, and that's where I am now. But when I was in exile, well, I was in exile in Costa Rica for 3 years, and then I went I came to the United States also. Thank you.
Wow, wow, wow. I'll quote from your poem, Jokanda. I'll quote the last 2 lines. I am nostalgia disguised as a woman. What a powerful way of concluding a poem on the pathos that comes with exile. A pathos that reminds us that it's not our will to roam the streets of other countries in search of better lives. A poem that reminds us that other countries' skyscrapers are not our own, however beautiful they may be. A poem that reminds us that we need to build our societies in such a way that people like Gioconda may not leave those societies and roam all over the world, remembering the beauty in their homelands. Gioconda, thank you for blessing us with this beautiful poem. Your words will give every exiled person a language with which to articulate their pain at leaving their homes, and a reason to keep dreaming that one day in their lifetime, they shall return home. And I thank God that you returned home. Wow, wow. What a beautiful feast of words and music we have had today. What an amazing lineup of poets we have had. It's just such a beautiful reading. And I thank all the poets for giving us their songs that we have enjoyed this evening or this morning, wherever you are. I'm aware that back home in Uganda, it's 1:18 a.m. I am taking this from this reading, a little poem that I have written as I listen to these wonderful poets. And the poem goes, even in our pain, we sing of beauty. Even in our pain, we sing of love. Even in our pain, we sing of hope. Even in our pain, we sing of tomorrow. Even in our pain, we sing of humanity. Even in our pain, we sing all the time. For we are singers, for we are a choir that will always sing even in our pain. Thank you for the wonderful poems, our dear poets, and thank you, our dear audience, for being amazing and for staying with us from the beginning to the end. Thank you for the so many comments of encouragement that you have put in the chat. Some of you are asking when these poems are coming out in book form. That is something that we shall discuss with Judith and with the poets, and we shall see what we can do with all these beautiful songs that have been sung today. And Judith, what a co-host you have been. the muse that put everything together. It has been a great pleasure working with you. Back to you, Judith. Thank you.
Oh, how incredibly delicious. And thank you for that gorgeous singing back into the music that we heard today, Danson. So I repeat, wasn't this thrilling? Wasn't this magnificent? The coming together of our peoples to make a joyful, hopeful sound in the world. This is our superpower, the beauty that we make in the behest of freedom. I love our community so dearly. And the more we can keep retying ourselves back in through beauty, through eloquence, through showing up together and for each other, the stronger we will be in this world. Thank you, darling, beloved poets. Thank you, beloved, generous, kind, and incredibly awake in Africa, where it's like, what, 1:30 in the morning now. Thank you. We thank you so much for sharing this time with you, because without you, the beloved audience, the giving of the gift, that magical circle is not complete. And for me, this is really what it's about, that we keep giving the gift, that the gift moves back into the world. And that's what we are. We are the great market of beauty makers and gift givers. Yay, yay, yay. Thank you so much for being here, and enormous gratitude to our really literally divine, patient, generous, kind, and fun technical director, Tina Bika. And you could see today that all the little gears mesh and mesh so beautifully, and we show up in such sort of elegant, well-handled ways. And that is because we work with Tina. So forever we thank you. And I know all the poets are applauding and yelling. We thank you all for this amazing, sweet and smooth global poetry Zoom. And we cannot wait to see you again at our next event. And
wow, thank you, Judith. And for our guest to pen today, please join us in our efforts by doing this that we are requesting you to do. Find your pen. Find your pen, find your pen, find your pen. And for more information on pen, we have posted pen, the national website, in the chat. Judith is going to do that. Thank you, Judith, for doubling as our technical person as well. And she's also going to post the San Miguel pen website in the chat. We have a pen website back home in Uganda, but I doubt it's still running because of the problems brought by the pandemic. But we shall restore it very, very soon. And Judith is going to post my email address and her own email address. And allow me to add my word to Judith's. Thank you, Tina, for being our technical director. It has been wonderful working with you. Back home in Uganda, I will say to all of you, our audience, to all of you, our poets, and to Tina, our technical director, I will say, Mwebale nyo, which is Luganda, for thank you very much. And I will say, Asante sana, which is Kiswahili for thank you very much. And in English, I'll repeat this very statement by saying, thank you very much. And Judith, my sister, thank you very, very much.
Gracias, gracias, gracias a todos. It was absolutely yummy and marvelous to spend this time together. And now we all say bye-bye, farewell, au revoir, adios. Thank you, thank you, thank you.